So I was recently just scrolling YouTube trying to pass the time, like I think pretty much all of us, until College Football 25 comes out. And then I came across this post here. This is a podcast hosted by Brian Clinton. He had Matt Brown on, who, if you don't know, he's kind of been close to a lot of the devs. And they said something pretty interesting. So I'm going to play the clip here.
If somebody debuts a new uniform in week 5, if the school wants to, there's the mechanism for that to be in the video game by week 6. If somebody is doing some completely different things schematically in week 1, there's a mechanism to get some of those things put into their playbook. Probably not in week 2, but maybe in week 6, depending on the program, right?
And then that kind of got me thinking a little bit. We've never really had a feature like this in any football game ever. The two closest things are kind of just roster updates, which have been in sports games for as long as we've had online play. And then second is the live playbooks feature. So the live playbooks feature, it kind of falls off a cliff every year. I don't even know if EA updates it after the first couple of weeks of the season. And then on top of that, you can't really use it in a CFM, at least in my experience, because it would cause a lot of bugs and sometimes your game would crash. So for them to have the ability to have a uniform within the game in back-to-back, like in subsequent weeks, so they debuted the uniform in week 6 and we have it in week 7, I think that's awesome. And then as long as they're updating playbooks, I think that'll be cool as well, as long as they don't take away from the playbooks. I feel as if this feature is implemented how it's kind of been explained in theory here. I don't really see a downside to it. I know with EA we can kind of expect some bugs and stuff along the way, and this will be the first game in over a decade, so the feature probably won't be perfect off the rip. I'm more so speaking about the playbooks here than the uniforms, but I'm sure you can imagine why I said additions only. It would suck if you kind of started developing a scheme in this particular formation in your favorite playbook, and then suddenly, because that team isn't really doing enough of that in real life, suddenly they go ahead and yank that from your favorite playbook. So I hope it's only additions. And then moving over to the uniform side of things, this obviously just has a lot to do with the immersion. I'm more of a gameplay guy personally, but I can't lie. Growing up, when you think of uniforms, you think of Oregon. So I remember Oregon, they would have obviously the most uniform combinations, being where Phil Knight and everything went to school. But at the beginning of the year, there would always be so many uniforms that were ultimately missed out on because it was just the nature of the game where they weren't adding new uniforms as the season went on. So I think it'll be super fun to literally watch your favorite team debut a uniform in week 2 or week 3, and then have that in the game by, say, week 4. As long as they make it so that it's kind of retroactive, where if you have a Dynasty or a Road to Glory save file that was created before those uniforms are in the game, they just need to make sure that we're able to still kind of update the mode so that when we go and load in, we still have that. I hope I said that properly. That was a lot of words for kind of what I wanted to explain, but I think you guys get the idea. Overall, I think this whole live service idea, it's kind of something we've had, like I said earlier in the video, for a while now. Roster updates have been a part of the game, and then we've, of course, had the live playbooks. But I think college football, them just coming back, they're going to have no choice but to kind of just blow us out of the water and just make it that much more enjoyable, that much more immersive. So when it comes to the playbooks, though, there's definitely a lot they could do. Because teams, they don't generally change their scheme super heavily from week to week, like possibly doing the NFL. Most college offenses are a lot more simplistic, so it'll just be a handful of formations, and then you have basically a bunch of different ways to run the same couple of plays. You just have the ability to kind of just switch it up from play to play, formation to formation. I think, however, the biggest aspect of this all is that EA doesn't really have to have the playbooks perfect off the rip. This will be the first year of the game. There's going to be 150 different teams. So it's literally going to be impossible for them to have every single playbook dialed down to a T where it's super realistic to what that team is running in real life. So what this allows is them to kind of get the product first out to us as consumers, and then we can kind of go from there and then update it, make it more realistic, make it more likened to what the team is running in real life. So that'll be cool to see as we go. Hopefully they do it correctly. This whole live service thing with the new uniforms and things like that is something that's been in other games for years now. Like I know NBA 2K, every single year, whenever the teams release the new jerseys, they have them in the game within the same season. So it's a little unfortunate that we've never had this in Madden, or we never had this in NCAA back in the day. So glad that they're finally getting with the times and are able to add this feature. But yeah, man, I was super excited overall when I heard this. I just hope EA doesn't really take this overboard, start charging us, making it more like a DLC that we have to pay for. Even though, you know, this should be a core part of the game. But yeah, I highly doubt that will happen. But I just had to say it because, you know, it's EA we're talking about at the end of the day. But overall, that is all I have for you guys on this one. Make sure you go head over to the link in the description to watch the full podcast if you would like. A lot of great insight over there, but that was probably my favorite aspect of it all. But yeah, if you watched this far in the video, seriously, thank you. Any feedback, go ahead, leave it in the comments. But other than that, guys, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, and I will catch you all in the next video. Thanks for watching.